Let's talk about social media now. We're joined by Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. How are you doing?
Yeah, really well, really well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I want to talk about conspiracy theories when it comes to COVID-19 and just being kind of aware of them when it comes online, etc. as well, because you've recently attended something talking about this.
Yes, I did. So last week there was an amazing presentation by the QUT Digital Research Centre, and they shared some research they conducted it was in the last couple of weeks or last week of January, and they analysed 8.5 million tweets using COVID-19 hashtags. And they looked at some like Facebook data as well, publicly available data, and they just wanted to see how are these conspiracy theories actually spreading. And so what they found is that the main source that kicks them off are influencers. So
I see. So when you see someone online who you follow, who all of a sudden starts talking about something or pushing something, off we go. This kind of reminds me of Pete Evans over the past couple of weeks. He's now copped a $25,000 fine.
Yeah, and thank goodness for that, because he was peddling his bio light machine was going to help cure.
Hang on, is that one in the background at your house right now? What is that behind you?
It looks no. Oh, now you know my secret. No. No. So Pete Evans, but even on a larger scale than Pete Evans is so there's a guy. I think he's a rapper in the States called Wiz Khalifa, and he has like 40 million Facebook followers, and he was on there. This is where one of them kicked off. He was on his Facebook page talking about these conspiracy theories, and so then they get legs. And Woody Harrelson was also one, and of course our old mate Trump. The golden boy of conspiracy theories, and. What happens is then these people share this stuff. The media then picks it up, because even if they're just reporting that this person said that, it still adds a form of legitimacy to what they're saying, just for the fact that they're repeating it. And that's when it really kicks off and gets legs. So
it's kind of funny that we live in a world where the President of the United States now is able to push conspiracy theories, and it kind of helps his cause. His voters want to believe it. That's how it works. It's the same with Pauline Hanson earlier this week. We're all talking about the COVID-19 app, whether we should download it, the tracing app, whether we feel comfortable, whether the NSA is getting onto it or whoever, the Australian Signals Directorate, of course. But there's kind of been two sides, and Pauline Hanson was on one of the morning programs on Monday saying, I'm not downloading the app, no way. And it actually really plays into her, her target audience, her target market of voters who really don't believe in big government. They're concerned, they're worried, and quite often susceptible to conspiracy theories.
Oh, totally. And it just takes someone like that who has a large following to legitimize it. And these are people generally who have no qualifications, absolutely no qualifications to be making these statements, but still they do. And then people do, people believe what they say just because they have a following and a profile, which is really scary if you think about it.
One of the big ones, I think, was the 5G, wasn't it? That was where that was the first conspiracy I started hearing about COVID-19, was the idea that the 5G towers were somehow responsible for doing it. And essentially what happens is you get two different topics. So one was the spread of 5G, and you remember last year there were a lot of articles about whether or not they were, cancerous, the same as the old mobile phone to your ear story, which we had years ago. And then COVID-19 happens, and it's like someone draws a link between the two, and that's how it's spread. It's this huge government conspiracy. Do you think that also is powered by the fact that we still don't have any actual certainty of how the virus started? We hear about the bat and the snake, and on it goes. But where there's kind of a vacuum from science is where conspiracy thrives.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's driven a lot by fear as well. People are trying to make sense of what's happening in some way. And so they'll grab onto anything, and they also won't check. So, there's been some people, I'm not even going to name them so they don't get even more exposure, where, they're very well spoken and they speak, with a lot of authority. But when you look at their qualifications, they don't actually have any. And believe them because of the way they seem to know what they're talking about, but when you actually look below the surface, they really don't. They just speak very well.
But that is the truth, isn't it? That's how people are able to get away with it, is that it's that strong front. And if you tell people over and over something that sounds absolutely ridiculous, in a way, the more ridiculous it sounds, people are more likely to believe it, and eventually you get some sort of cult following and you start the Catholic Church, but that's a whole different story.
That's true.
I guess that's kind of the point, isn't it, about how, they kind of enter the mainstream eventually, and then you end up with all of these old wives' tales that turn out not to be true.
That's right.
Look at Mythbusters, which is a great show, which essentially goes into these kinds of theories as well.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest one of all is the aliens in space. And it seems to now be pushed along. Yesterday, there was an article out I saw that, in fact, NASA and some of, CIA releasing vision of these flying objects that they can't actually identify. And to see these big agencies basically helping to push conspiracy theories is fantastic.
Yeah, well, it is. It's sort of, it's sort of defeating the purpose. But getting it, so I guess we're all bored at home. We need something, hey. But I mean, we all have a part to play in trying to stop this from happening. So there's things like just trying to develop more of a critical media literacy. Fact checking is a good one, and reporting absolute untruths to the platforms, because it's up to us to actually do it. They try and find them, but the AI isn't as perfect as it should be. So if there's something on there, please report it, and they will take it down and monitor that. So and you can unfollow and snooze for 30 days on Facebook. I know mine's been getting a workout just to have a rest from people who are sharing these things.
I'm loving it. I love the flat earthers and the idea of that the earth is flat, and they're trying to explain that that is the case. I think my favourite saying, and you'll get this as a cat person, that if the earth was flat, cats would have pushed everything off it, and that'd be that. But we'll
Absolutely.
leave that there for now. All right, Karen Sutherland, appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.